Good morning, children. Today we will study about the selection and the selection process. Selection. It is the process of carefully screening the candidates so that to identify and choose the most suitable person for the right job. So in selection, what is done? Carefully screening of the candidate is done. Why? To identify and choose the most suitable candidate for the job. It is regarded as the negative process as it involves elimination of candidate at every step. So it is a negative process because there is an elimination of candidate at each and every step. Now selection process, basically there are 8 processes of selection. The first process is preliminary screening. So preliminary screening helps the manager to eliminate unqualified or unfit job seekers based on the information supplied in the application form. When the applicant fills the application form, then various data are asked. According to that data, according to that information, the preliminary screening is done and the unqualified, unfit employees are removed in the preliminary screening. So this is the first step of elimination. Now second is selection test. An employment test is a mechanism, either a paper or pencil test or an exercise that attempts to measure certain characteristics of an individual. So selection test, employment test is basically a mechanism which measures certain characteristics of the individual. And that measurement is done either through the paper or through the pencil or through the exercises. These characteristics ranges from aptitudes such as manual dexterity to intelligence to personality. So in the selection test, basically employment test is conducted to measure the certain characteristics. That characteristics may be intelligent, personality, aptitudes of the employees and others. Basically there are 5 selection tests. The first is intelligence test. Intelligence test is done, it is a psychological test, and this is done to measure the level of intelligence of an individual so that his ability to take the decision is there or not. So in the intelligence test, his intelligence is measured such that he will be able to take the right decision or not. Second is aptitude test is there. It is also a psychological test which is used to measure the potential of an individual to learn the new skill. So aptitude test basically measures the potential of the individual to learn a new skill. Now third is personality test. It is a test that provides cues regarding the person's emotions, reactions and value system. So personality test basically measures the emotion of a person, his reactions and also his value system. Fourth one is trait test. It is a test used to measure the existing skill of an individual to perform a job. So trait test basically measures the existing skill of an individual to perform that job. And then the last is interest test. It is a test used to know the interest or involvement of the person in other activities. So in other activities the person is interested or not is measured through the interest test. Now the second step of selection is employment interview. Interview is the formal in-depth conversation conducted to evaluate the applicant's suitability for the job. So interview is basically a formal, in-depth conversation and it is conducted to evaluate the applicant's suitability for the job. Through an interview, an interviewer seeks to obtain maximum information about the interviewee and the interviewee also seeks to maintain the maximum information about the candidate. So both of them, the interviewer gets the maximum information about the interviewee and the interviewee also gets the maximum information about the company. Now the fourth is a reference and background checks. Many employers request name, address and phone numbers of the reference for the purpose of verifying information and gaining additional information of the applicant. So many company They request the name and address and also the phone numbers of the reference people so that they can get the additional information about the candidates. These reference can be given of the teachers, lecturers, previous employers, professors, or any other person who can give you the right information about yourself. Then fifth process of selection is selection decision. The final decision has to be made from among the candidate who pass the test, interview and reference check. So the final decision is made from among the candidates who has passed all these 4 tests till the reference test. So the final decision is made. Now the selection process is over. After selection process, again these 3 processes are there, that is the medical examination. After the selection decision and before the job offer, the candidate is required to undergo the medical fitness test. So candidate has to go to the medical fitness test after the selection decision and before giving the job offer letter. The job offer is given to the candidate only if the candidate is physically and mentally fit. So job offer is given only if the candidate is mentally and physically fit. If the candidate is not mentally and physically fit, he will not be given the job offer letter. Now job offer. The next step is the selection process is the job offer to those candidates who have passed all the previous hurdles. So all those who have passed the previous hurdles, they are given the job offer letter. It is made through a letter of appointment to confirm his acceptance and communicating to him the reporting date and time. So the job offer is given, which is a letter of appointment which confirms the acceptance of the job and communicating the employee's reporting date and time. So the candidate's reporting date and time is confirmed in the job offer letter. Now after this, the last step is contract of employment. When the candidate accepts the job offer, the contract of employment is made. The contract of employment between the company and the employee is made. It is a written form and includes job titles. So it is this contract of employment is it is in the written form and it contains the job titles, duties, responsibilities, date, when continuous employment starts and the basis for calculating service, rate of payment, allowance, hours of work, leave rules, sickness, grievance procedures, etc. So all these are written in the contract employment which is in the written form. What all things are written? Again I am repeating. Job title is there, duties, responsibilities, date when continuous employment starts and the basis for calculating the service, rate of pay, allowance, hours of work, leave, rules, sickness, grievance procedures, etc. The candidate also fills up the attestation form giving the necessary details. And lastly, the candidate also fills up the attestation form giving the necessary details. And by this is the last step in which he gets the job and from the next day he starts going to the job. Today only this much. Thank you.